Hello there, my friend Dakota. Glad to see you
Hello.
here.
Good to see you too. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you for being here. We've never met in real life. I have come across your videos, especially the most intriguing one was you had the Bufo shaman um, um, administer, the medicine to a couple of saints and like a couple of yogis in India, and it was really fascinating to watch. And your channel, your life of adventure, your the deep desire to understand the truth it was so fascinating. So I'm like, okay, let me knock this guy up, knock on his channel, and let's see if he's willing
Yeah.
to have a quick conversation.
Yeah, here I am. Thanks for sending the email. And yeah, that was a very interesting experience. Well, I spent a lot of time with this Bufo shaman, and I avoided trying it for a long time because I was hanging out with him and I could see him giving it to people, so I would see the reactions. And I was like, I don't want that because sometimes people just collapse into like a corpse and they'll be drooling, or sometimes they scream or they freak out. And I was like, you guys are not getting me screaming and flailing around. You guys will be filming me. I'm never trying this. And then one day, I mean, they always tried. They always tried to get me to do it. But one day, after like being with him for about a year and a half, they convinced me to try it. It's a very interesting experience. Have you ever had it before?
I have not. I had many opportunities. A lot of my friends in my circle have done it,
Yeah, I
but
mean, people, they say it's like a life-changing experience. There is a you before and after that experience. And it's not everybody goes off to like become some kind of saint or something, but it's a moment where people really experience something beyond the normal state of life. It's where you get to see something different. And most people consider it like a religious experience, and I'm in that category of people because when I did it, it was like I died. Like I feel like I know what it's going to be like to die now because of that experience. And I think your body thinks it's dying when you smoke it. And I think it goes through that whole process as if you're dying, and it brings you to that edge, but your body's not actually dying, so it equalizes. I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but that's what it felt like for me when I smoked it. And I was convinced I died. And you feel the you feel like we were talking just before this about Vajrayana and Tibet, and the Tibetans, maybe in Hinduism too, they talk about how there's certain stages to when you're dying. All the elements start happening. Like they talk about like the moisture starts going away, the heat starts going away, and there's like a whole little process of the body going through elemental stages as it's preparing to die. And I felt that when I was smoking the bufo, and you die. It feels like you die. You go into a different place.
yeah, I heard it's the strongest of its kind.
I can't
Um,
explain it. It's a mystical experience. People, like, I don't know. I remember growing up and you hear about mystical experience, and it always just sounds like something you would see in a cartoon or something. Like when we were growing up, we have Halloween in the U.S., so I would always associate witches and that kind of stuff with like bubbling cauldrons, and they would be throwing toads in the cauldron and stuff like that. It's very interesting stuff. But yeah, when you smoke it, you enter a world that has no lines to it. Like it feels like there's a lot of everything is there. Actually, it feels like everything is there, but there is no distinction between things. So like right now, I'm talking to the microphone. I see my laptop. It's like all that stuff is there, but there is no objects. I can't explain it.
yeah, these things are. It's not easy to explain. More of an experiential, but we try our best to, because I believe. I mean, for me, when I've entered this sort of realm of medicine or lifestyle, I mean, I've slowed it down. I used to be sort of. have a ceremony every other weekend years ago. But like when you feel such joy and love, you want to share it with other people, especially the people who are trying it for the first time, whether it's ayahuasca or peyote or wachuma. But it's they can feel you, but it's very hard to describe unless they you take them to the ceremony and they understand the culture and the things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I wanted to do with these sadhu friends that I had. Really, it was Bavani Baba who I was most curious about because I had been with this sadhu for 4 years on or off. I would go to India and I would try to spend as much time as I could during my trip with him. So there'd be a periods where I would just be with him for weeks and we would just be in the temple or traveling somewhere or just sitting there. And I would be talking to him about these experiences I would have in Mexico or Peru about the psychedelics because I've done some meditation, I've done some yoga, I covered myself in the dead body. Yeah, like I've done this stuff, and none of them take you to that place, you know? So I was like, I wanted to show him. I wanted to say, like, yeah, you meditate and you hang out around Varanasi dead bodies, but this is different. You're gonna
Mm.
smoke this, and it's gonna like give you an actual experience. And I was talking to him about it just like I would talk to any friend, like prepping them about it, saying like, it's intense. And I want you to know that it's not like a chillum, it's not like a beady. You're going to like feel like you're dying. And he didn't care. He was like, yeah, whatever. When he gets here, give it to me. I'll take it. And this Bufo shaman, his name is Jose. He decided to go to India and he wanted to give it to them. He wanted to have them experience this spiritual, power. And we gave it to 3 different sadhus. We were in Magh Mela, which is one of the small melas, Kumbh Melas in India, like festivals that are religious festivals, and there's small ones in between the big ones. And this was one of the small ones, and we were there just experiencing the Mela, and we met a whole camp of sadhus. They're all just naked or in little tiny underwear, and they got the ash on them, and they're hanging out around fires, and they're gossiping or doing whatever sadhus do. And there's a whole bunch of them, 50 of them. And we, after like 3 days at the festival, we were looking for sadhus everywhere, couldn't really find any. And at the last day, we just stumbled upon this whole tent of them. And we just walk in, and they just accepted us. They were passing us chillums right away, and just, hey, where are you from? Everyone's talking to us. And after some time of getting to know them, the topic comes up of, well, we have this medicine. He's from Mexico, and this is sort of his spiritual practice, and he shares it with people, and it's healing. And most of them were like, nah, I'm not. Everyone's kind of scared of it. I'm not smoking no crazy thing you foreigners have. Why would I? And but then there was one guy who was just like, I'll do it. Come on, let's go. And he walks us to a little tent, and it's all dusty and loud, India. And we're just following his little butt because he's naked, basically. And you just see his little butt cheeks in the front of us, and we're just walking behind him. And he takes us into this tent. And that's what you see in the video is we're inside this tent. And it's got like hay on the floor and a very simple setup. And you can hear in the video the noise of India and the Mela behind it. Everyone playing like 50 different songs playing at the same time. Every tent's playing music as loud as they can. And we do the ceremony. And my friend is doing it like he would do it anywhere. He's got his little Mexican drum, and he's hitting it, and he's singing in Mexican native language. The guy freaks out, as you see in the video. He does like what most people do. Like what I said earlier, you guys ain't getting me on camera freaking out. And this guy, the sadhu, he freaked out a little bit. And you see him slamming his fist on the ground and being very intense. He was having a bad trip a little bit. And he had to just equalize himself. And after he calmed down, he wanted to do it again. So we gave it to him again. We actually gave it to him 3 times. And the second and third time, he went really deep. And if you watch the video, you see him crying. That's after the second time. He starts crying, and he gets the Bufo experience, He gets to see the power of it. And he starts crying, and he says, like, well, we were asking him, what did you see? He said he saw a fully generated Mahavishnu, which means like the universe in its full form of expression, just everything beaming at once. Like I said, everything is in this place. And he saw that. And he said he saw the place where all the bodhisattvas and the rishis and yogis and enlightened beings are meditating. And he said Jesus was there. He said Jesus came into his body, and he starts crying. And I mean, this is what all people kind of experience. People go into a sort of heaven, and everyone's there. It feels like you have every prayer is being answered in this place. And he was just using his sort of his Hindu worldview, framework, language to express that. But this is the experience most people have when they do it. If they don't freak out, once you get past the ego stuff of being scared and freaking out, and you have the breakthrough, it is a religious experience. And he experienced that. And then we go to Varanasi to meet Bavani Baba. This is who I'm actually most curious about, because Bavani is in India what they call an Aghori. And, I feel like these days he wouldn't even identify with any kind of title like that. But when I met him, he was a little younger and experimenting. And then, and he was, I am the Aghori, So the Aghoris in India have very intense, they're considered one of the most intense forms of yoga. They meditate on top of dead bodies sometimes. You hear stories, sometimes they even eat the dead body. I've never personally seen that or anything, but these are the stories you hear about them. People are scared of the Aghori because of that. They say they have like psychic powers and they work with demons and you get all the spooky stories when it comes to the Aghori. But Bavani Baba he looks scary sometimes, but he also looks very sweet. I don't know if did you ever watch any of his videos before of him talking?
On the channel you have on Instagram, yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah. So like he has this intensity, but he also has this very gentleness, which is it's like a paradox almost. And he's not like the typical Aghori. He's not like with the skulls and all of that stuff. He's very sweet, and he's always talking about God and nothing scary, no demons or anything like that. But ever since I've known him, all he does is do like his ceremonies, which is Havan, and he just feeds these fires for half the day. And so I know I know that his mind is very empty, because when you're around him, people say like, oh, if I could meet the guru, I have a million questions I would ask. Or any spiritual person, give me the secrets. What is the mantra, or how do you raise Kundalini and all this stuff? But then when you're hanging out with Bavani, all those questions kind of feel dumb. Like you almost don't want to disrupt the stillness around him to ask some stupid question, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I'm excited to give it to him because of this. I'm like, okay, we're going to show you what we're doing over in Mexico and blow your mind. So he said, okay, yeah, let's meet in Varanasi. We meet in Varanasi, one of the holiest cities in all of India. This is where they're burning dead bodies 24 hours a day for 1,000 years, unbroken, thousands of years, unbroken. And there's a river that divides Varanasi. One side is like a bank. It's got sand, and there's dogs over there and cows and forest. And the other side is the city. So we cross the river onto the nature side. Now, when you cross the nature side, it's like a haunted movie, like a scary movie, because there's just dead bodies also there that were thrown into the water and just wash up on the shore. And these dogs will pull the bodies up even further and just eat them. It's a very intense scene. It's not like anywhere else in the world. So we're doing the ceremony here just to paint the scene for you. And we got a blanket laid out. I actually think I'm sitting on top of the blanket right now. Let me see. Yeah, it's right here. This blanket right here. So we had this blanket laid out. And he sits on top of it. And Jose prepares the medicine. And in the video, you can see Jose's using a clear pipe, and it just fills with white smoke. So it's not like a light dose. And behind Bavani is the smoke of the fires. And we're all just like, okay, here's the moment, we're going to finally give like a real yogi this medicine and see what happens. Because, the yogis say that they enter these spaces of no distinction naturally. Like they're in the oneness you hear about. This is one of the most spiritual fortune cookie things you can read. We are all one. So what happens when you give a oneness guy the oneness substance? Let's see what happens. So he smokes it. And he smokes the whole thing in a single sip. And he coughs a little bit, and I see the smoke blow out, and then he just inhales it, and he sits there. And you start to see it slowly come out, and he just sits there. For 5 minutes, I'm waiting. Okay. Maybe he's gone, because he's not moving, he's not clearing his throat, he's not twitching, nothing. He's just like a rock. After 5 minutes, he clears his throat. And he leans in and opens his eyes, and he looks at me, and he just says, "Are you happy now?" And in that second, like, my mind was trying to reorganize itself, because it's not what I expected him to say, you know? Like, I expected, oh my God, wow, that was crazy. Oh my God. You know, I expected like a pranam, but he didn't even acknowledge the ceremony or what was going around. He just looked me dead in my eyes and said, "Are you happy now?" And that moment is like broken my spiritual practice a little bit, because I thought, like, this is the peak. You smoke this and it brings you to that space. Oneness no longer becomes some concept you read in the Gita or Upanishads or from some Instagram coach. It becomes an experience that you can literally feel. Smoke this, and in 5 seconds you will know the truth of oneness. It's not something, it's not a thought. None of that. He didn't give me none of that. He just gave me, "Are you happy now?" How do you interpret that?
Wow, I think it's like, I think it's so profound. Just those few words, especially, he knew what you're trying to. This is what my interpretation. He knew what your intention was, what you wanted to show him, but in a few words, he showed you that this is not it.
And I've talked to him many times after it, just to really try to, like, come on, give me more
Tell
than,
me.
yeah, tell me. And he said, like, yeah, it's powerful. And if you are somebody that doesn't believe in that kind of stuff, this will show you, it'll show you, it'll give you enough energy for that you will believe. But it's just like a temporary experience, once the experience goes, you're back to your normal life. You're back to drinking your Coca-Cola, you're back to arguing with your girlfriend, whatever it is that you're doing, and sadhus aren't doing that. They don't go back to anything, because their whole practice is not to engage anyway. So it's like, okay, you have a vision. Okay, you have a vision. What is what's the difference of a vision or the girlfriend or the Coca? Like, why give power to any of that? That these are just temporary things that are happening in your awareness. But the sadhu is focusing on the awareness itself, not the things that are happening in the awareness. And this is what I learned from him, because he told me, he laughed in my face about it. He was just like, no offense to Jose, because Jose is he helps so many people, not only with his sapo, but just with his compassion and generosity. But he said, go train with Jose for 10 years. You go smoke all this buffo you want, smoke all of it. And then I'm going to bring you a person. They're going to sit in front of you after 10 years of your practice. And with your eyes, with your voice, with your energy, I want you awaken them. Show them your power. You have no power, because for 10 years you've just been dreaming. You're just smoking something and being hypnotized by a flash. Oh, wow. And then you come back and then you do it again. Oh, wow. But the sadhu is not doing that. The sadhu is, or sadhana. You don't have to even be a sadhu, but spiritual practice is something different, because spiritual practice is an immersion into the moment constantly. It's not something that you smoke and you go to, and this, you can be in that buffo space, not the intensity of it, but the awareness that you get from seeing that thing. You can bring that back and be in that moment to moment. When someone comes to you, or when I'm talking to my microphone, my laptop, I can look at that the same way that I looked at what I was seeing in the Bufo space. Okay, here's this mystery presenting itself to me in this moment. Here is that mystery, that light, in the form. Here it is. How strange. What is the difference between going to that space or this space? And I think that's what Bavani was trying to teach me. Yeah, I'm my focus is distracted because it's here.
Yeah, I find him. I've seen a couple of his videos, and the gentleness you described, it's so evident from his expression, and I'm really drawn to, I mean, I have searched, I'm a seeker just like you, and most of us are either at one point in their lives, um, going from gurus to gurus, trying to understand different traditions, trying this medicine, that, etc., etc. But I think, like you, coming back to when you're sitting in front of the guru or the person, the silence in him transmits something deeper into you, and you don't have to ask many questions. You just have this feeling.
He's the only person I've met that can do that.
Do you
I've looked all
consider
over India.
do you
What?
consider him a guru of yours? Are you guys have sort of built that relationship, or
I struggle with it. I struggle with calling him my guru. I'll be very honest about it. But I in a way view whatever my guru is, the abstract mystery that is the guru. Every moment is a teaching, and whatever that divine thing is that is constantly trying to teach me in all moments. Because I think my personal belief is that there is a God, and it is this personal thing that is emanating all life, and it is trying to get me to realize something. And in all moments, it's presenting opportunities for me to awaken. And I think Bavani, it's giving me Bavani as a great opportunity for me. But Bavani himself, I've seen him as a person. So it's very hard for me to look at him as like some Buddha or some fully enlightened person. And I don't even know if that exists. Maybe the guru is not that. Maybe that's the point, is that the guru is also just a person with, but the way they describe them in the books, like the Buddha and stuff, they're kind of broken through that personness. So Bavani, I've seen his personness a lot. I've seen him be annoyed. I've seen him happy, angry, normal. I've seen the Buddha part, the sadhu part of himself completely too. So it's a very interesting relationship I have with him. It's hard for me to pinpoint it into something so specific as like guru student, because he's also just like a big brother and like my friend, and sometimes even like a fatherly type of figure. It's hard to pin it.
yeah, thank you for sharing that experience. Is there how was have you come across any other mystical experiences while being with him? Because following him to the different burial sites, the different things that they consume, take, practice. I mean, interesting to know if especially being around
N-
agoris.
you know, not not directly mystical, but there are moments where things seem synchronistic. Like it's like deja vu, right? You get deja vu and you're like, holy shit, like this is weird. Like I feel like this moment feels very specific. It's like an overwhelming feeling. You get that sometimes when you hang out with Bavani, where it's like it's not like it's not like, wow, I had a psychedelic vision, or he read my mind, or I saw a ghost or something. It's subtle. It's something subtle. But that definitely happens. And with agoris in general, no. But there is one thing that was kind of synchronistic that's fucking weird in my head, because I don't know if I can tell the story good enough, but I'll try if you want to hear it.
Sure.
I'll give you a short version. I was with this is before I met Bhavani Baba. I was in Hyderabad in India, and they were opening a new Aghori temple, and I heard about it, so I wanted to go see the opening of it. And there was a Baba there, Mani Kundan Baba. He's probably the most famous Aghori. He wears human skulls as a necklace, and he's always painted red, very scary looking, always doing these scary mudras and stuff. He was the leader of this, and they're going to kill a buffalo and pour the blood all over the temple. And I'm watching it. They got me covered in human ash in the center of the ceremony as like the token foreigner Aghori. Look, this Baba has an American devotee. They got me like taking pictures, and all the villagers are like thinking I'm some, I don't know what they think, but they're all like trying to touch my feet and stuff. It is just a weird situation. And I watched them kill this buffalo. And I remember as the buffalo was killed and they were pouring the blood everywhere, it was like a lot of commotion in the temple. And I looked over into the corner, and there was a toad sitting in the corner. Like it was just sitting there, but in my mind I was like, it looked like it looked scared of what was going on. Like, oh, I'm not gonna move because they'll kill me if they see me. That's what it looked like. But I was a little offended by that. I won't go into the full story. You can watch it somewhere. But, you know, these Agoris were very, you know, taking selfies on Facebook Live and treating this buffalo very bad. And at some point in the ceremony, I felt offended and stopped participating because of that. I was like, this is just some theater for these village people to give you guys money. You know, you come here and perform this circus and get donations and then go off to the next place, do it again. That's what I saw. And so I left the temple, and I go outside, and there's a person sitting out there. And I go to just sit next to them just because I don't know, I'm fed up, and I'll just go talk to this person out here. And that person was Bavani Baba. And it's so interesting that the toad was there hiding in the corner.
Okay.
So like that's what I mean. Like it's not mystical in the way of like a psychedelic vision, but there's these little moments where it's just like, come on. Like this seems like a movie script or something.
It's an interesting connection, connecting future, past, present. Yeah.
So weird.
Thank you for
But the
sharing.
guru is always there. It's hiding always in all the moments. And time only exists in the mind, the way that we perceive time. It's all happening, but the way that the mind, you know, the science of the mind perceives and projects an illusion.
When I think about the toad, have you seen Naruto?
A little bit, not very much. I should watch it. Everyone tells me to watch it.
One of his, I think, great grandmaster. He appears later on. His spirit animal is like a huge toad. Has all this like power, and then this is long before. So that's the cartoon that reminds me of when I see Bufo. But
There's something about the toads.
yeah, I mean, in terms of like, even sometimes when you have done, medicine for quite some time, sometimes you wonder, and I wonder, like, I tend to wonder, where do this sort of like things come in, right? This like powerful elements that sort of puts you in this altered state of mind expansion. Are this like alien nature? Why a toad? Okay, plants I understand.
Yeah,
Okay, but why, out of all the beings, why a toad, right?
I know. It's so bizarre. And it's symbolic. The toad lives underground for half the year. It comes out. It's like the lotus or something, you know?
And also, I've just recently come across an article where people are they're hunted down. Not on, I won't say the word hunted. They're like, people are running after them, trying to find them, get the secretions, and I think they sell around $50,000 per kilogram, and like it's a huge market these days right now.
Yeah, it's
Uh, you
run by
know,
the cartel in Mexico.
yeah, joining into the, when it's happening with all the plant medicine, right? Overuse, you know obviously there's addiction, overuse, and abuse, I would say. This tend to lose its sacredness. With all the plant medicine, it's happening in the West. People are, okay, it's just like, a weekend thing.
Yeah, it's just an experience. Yeah, exactly. Just a weekend thing. It's so disrespectful.
What's your story? Your name, Dakota.
Yeah.
When I first saw you, I thought, you'd be like one of those guys sitting in a teepee and, singing a peyote song. You remind me, you give me that sort of
Yeah. Well, that's the Dakotas. That's the Dakota style. But yeah, my name is Dakota. That's just what my mom called me when I was born. I grew up in Detroit, and yeah, you know, I was like into punk rock music and stuff. And in the punk rock music scene, there's the Hare Krishnas and straight edge. I don't know if you know what straight edge is, but here in America back in like the early 2000s, we had a thing called straight edge, which meant we didn't do drugs and we were straight to the edge. You know, we are like we can have fun with no drugs. It was like a youth movement that had to do with punk rock culture. So I didn't take no drugs, no nothing, and I was super proud of it. I would wear it drug free on my shirt. And then I fell in love with a girl about 20, 21, and she gives me mushrooms. Blows my mind. Holy shit, dude, this exists? Oh my God. What the hell? Straight edge, I want this, whatever this is. Give me more mushrooms. And it gave me a spiritual experience. And I was working for a music festival called Warp Tour. If you ever heard of Vans shoes, or like the t-shirt Vans, the skateboarding company, they had a music festival called Warped. And I worked for it for 5 years. And on that tour, there were Hare Krishnas from the ISKCON temple. And they would sell books and give people cookies. And I was around them all the time because this tour would last 3 months. So for 3 months, I would be with these guys. And I didn't have anyone to talk to about these spiritual experiences. So I went to them. Oh, I had this mushroom experience. What the hell happened? And this guy, Prahlad, he's a white guy, but took initiation and is now called Prahlad. He gives me this Bhagavad Gita. I can't explain nothing, but just read this book. I read the book. Oh my God, how do they know? Indians must be using mushrooms, you know, Krishna the cow and what they're doing. This is a secret mushroom story. And that kind of is what led me to India. And yeah, long story short, I go to Mexico. I go to the mushroom shamans there. I end up in the Amazon doing ayahuasca and doing wachuma, going to Mexico, doing the bufo, and, you know, just doing everything I could to try to understand and deepen this experience. And yeah, slowly, it leads to Bavani breaking that for me. Because, you know, it's so weird. I did think it was progress in a way. Because it is powerful, and I was changing. You know, when you have such powerful experiences constantly, you do have an inner change, you know. Compassion grows, and you start to release some of your traumas and realize, like, you don't need to hang on to certain things, and you begin to loosen, and the medicines do help with that. But like you said, it becomes like a crutch, you know. People just, they keep taking it, and now they turn into a different thing. Now they're like, I'm on a healing journey, so I just need to keep taking ayahuasca 100 times. And it's like, I don't know, you know, you look at like the Shipibo and the Amazon now, and it's like these people are just dancing for tourists, basically. It looks like that. It looks like their culture is like being packaged and given to tourists for a weekend thing, like you said. The bufo, the sapo in Mexico is being harvested in a way that's like it's you don't respect this thing. You know, if you respected it, then don't even take it. You know, that's what I learned from Bavani, because it's like, we are so immature spiritually. Like, look what we do when we have a spiritual experience. We have a spiritual experience and we use it until it's dry. We don't care about the people it came from. We don't care about the animals that are giving it to us. We just want it for ourselves. And I think, like, you know, psychedelics, I don't ever want to disregard them because they are powerful and they work. But there has to be a maturity point where you have to stop using them. And I think, like, we're at that point, you know, we see all the cultures being disrespected. You see the plants being so it's like, okay, we got the message. There is something special, something spiritual hidden in this world. And there are combinations of plants and cheat codes you can do to have these experiences. But once you know the experience exists, you don't need to keep having it. Now it's time to, like, what they call integration. And everyone talks about integration. You see on Instagram, I'm an integration coach. Pay me $500 an hour. I'll teach you how to integrate your ayahuasca experience. And it's like, to integrate your ayahuasca experience, you just need to, like, be a better person. Now, see, okay, you had a vision. You saw the vision. We're all one. I love everybody. Now come and do that. And you're not going to be able to do it all the time, obviously, but, you know, that's the practice. Do what the ayahuasca told you. If it actually worked, then make it work. That's where I'm at right now.
And I think that's a very, very mature place to be in, because I think for me it was the same journey as well. I went to Peru and did like 10 days straight, maybe 1 or 2 day breaks. It was a crazy experience, and I
Did you see
like
the aliens?
so many things. Aliens, yeah, aliens. I mean, I've said with Shipibus are a little different than the, Honiquins and the Yawanawas, because their ceremonies take place in the dark. They try to go inside your shadows
It
and
was very
things like
dark.
that.
Yeah, scary.
Very dark, and you don't want to get distracted by the music. You know, and it was intense. I left the Maloka. I was like in the sort of at the site, had some bad experiences, but the good ones as well, the healing and everything. But I came back to New York, and that's when I pre-registered for. Have you heard of Kriya Yoga?
Kriya yoga. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Is it
was
you mean
first.
like an institution or in general?
No, it's a practice. It was.
But yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was first. It was first. I would say uh, people came to know of it from the book Autobiography of a Yogi by Yogananda. It's a very popular book. So it's a technique by, you have so many different yogic techniques. That's just one of them. Um, and that's, sort of like, okay, I want to be more spiritual, have, do, like you said, sadhana, go into a sadhana, go into the practice, and then the pull of just jumping into next medicine. I didn't have the urge. My friends like, hey, there's a ceremony happening in Brooklyn. There's shamans, they fly out everywhere. You
Yeah.
had Hunikun guy just come in. We were in a shack in Brooklyn, sit down. You know how the flow goes. So but I would say for me, I'm also wanted to ask you, have you had experiences with peyote?
Yes. With
Okay, in
wirarikas.
Urarikas, okay.
Yeah, with cholis.
Cholas, yeah, it's beautiful. Do you see the deer dance? Have you experienced the deer dance?
I didn't experience the deer dance, but I've seen the paintings they do of it. I had a friend that did like the whole thing where you go to Real de Catorce, or what do they call it? Wirikuta, the
Mm.
sacred place of the peyote, and they go there and they kill a deer and they sacrifice it and they rip its heart out with their hand and stuff. Very intense ceremony, and you have to walk into the desert and find the peyote yourself. It doesn't come to you chopped with chocolate like how it was given to me.
Yeah, I love when the chocolate when the ceremonies you have chocolates, they're the best, because
Yeah.
the peyote buttons itself has this.
Ugh.
And another insight I had, or like understanding, was okay, you can, but if you want to really go in deep, you have to go to the jungle and study with the shamans. Take it seriously if you want to go really deep into something. It just, even with any spiritual practice or any
Yes.
tradition, right? Even if you want to play guitar, you want to go really deep, study all the little things, and continue and continue until you master it. So I think with any tradition, if you really want to understand and explore, it has to come from the heart. um,
And even
and
then, you still never fully get it for based on somebody that their grandparents were shamans and their great grandparents were shamans and they were raised in a community where this is just in their language. They have words
mm,
for the shamanic experience. So even like if you go spend 3 years with the shamans or 10 years with the shamans, it's like, yeah, you will obviously grow and develop into maybe even a master, but you'll never fully grasp it the way when it's in your blood like that.
mhm,
So like even
yeah.
like if you come from California and you move to the Amazon, you might be a master, but there's just uh there's just a difference when it's like in your lineage and your grandparents and your grandparents and your grandparents, and it's just like it's it's in the habits of your karma.
Absolutely, well said. Yeah. Have you tried anything else? You said, like, for
Pretty much all of
instance,
them.
iboga as well.
No, 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 I didn't try that one.
Okay, yeah, it's
That's a scary one. I feel like you have to have a real problem to do that one. That's not well, people do it for fun, which they're crazy, but
it's well studied
this
among the addictive tendencies. That's one of the things that try to heal. That's what I've heard. I haven't tried it.
Yeah, apparently it has very high success rates, more than most things. Maybe more than anything. As far as like for opiates or very specific drug addictions, it has, yeah, one of the highest. You know, the guy that does the Bufo ceremonies, Jose, he did it. He went to Africa and went and sat with the Bwiti, where they
Gabon.
bury you in a grave. Basically, they basically put you in a little ditch, and I think they throw stuff on you so you like feel like you're dying, and they wrap you up. And he said it lasted. I mean, I might ruin his story, but I think he said it lasted like 4 days. Even after he left, after the ceremony was finished, he's back in his hotel room, and he told me he was just laying on his bed watching an old Western movie on TV. He's watching the whole story play out of these people on horses fighting the Native Americans, and he's just watching it play out. And at some point, he realizes the TV is off, and he's just seeing the reflection of people in the street walking by in the TV.
Ooh.
4 days after the ceremony or something. So that's how strong Iboga is.
And what are you up to these days? You are back in Detroit.
I'm just here in Detroit visiting my mom. I'm preparing to go to Ethiopia, but there's, with this war, there's a lot of problems right now. It's going to be a little bit complicated, but I bought my ticket to Ethiopia to go in 2 weeks. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to go because they're having a crisis right now with their fuel because of Iran situation. But my plan is to go to Ethiopia in about 2 weeks and do a small documentary about their Christianity there. Maybe go hang out with some tribal people and see if I can find some exorcisms or something crazy.
Mhm. So you are trying to get into the so your goal is your main project that you're still working on, trying to understand the culture and the different depths and the untold
Yeah,
mysteries.
yeah. My life journey right now is just trying to. I want to document unique spiritual practices. Ethiopia has very unique Christian practices. It's very, like you live in an Islamic country, so like people pray 5 times a day, right? And you
Hmm.
have the music play, and you pray towards Mecca, correct?
Hmm.
And
Yes.
the Christians in Ethiopia are doing the same thing. I've never seen it any other country, but the Christians are praying X amount of times a day. They're praying towards Bethlehem, where Jesus was born. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like a real Christian country. I've never experienced such a thing. So when I went before, maybe 2 years ago, I was like, this is very nice, to see it practiced in such a way. Everyone wears white robes, even like the people in the street. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, I want to go back, and they have extra books that we don't have in my country, like Christian books that we removed. So I want to just go learn more and just, share spiritual practices that people don't really know about, but that are powerful.
Mhm. Yeah, I have not fully explored, but I know there is a mystical side to Christianity as well.
Oh, dude, it's tantra. It's so deep. People have no clue. I didn't even have a clue until recently.
Mhm. I see him as a good friend, a mentor. David Verdesi, this Italian anthropologist, he has his documentary. I mean, he didn't. He's a part of the documentary. He's like the host. It's called Superhuman: Finding Superhumans. He travels all around the world, finding
I
people
think
with
I may have seen that
superhuman.
before. Let me see. What's it called again?
Finding Superhumans. David Verdesi. And
I feel like I might have seen it before.
Searching for Superhumans. Yeah, crazy. It's he like this is he goes to like Bali, like the different types of shamans. You know how Hinduism is different from India, but same gods. He sees this guy who passes electricity through a leaf. I went to meet him in Bali before. So I had this crazy. Last time I was in Bangladesh, I had to head back to the U.S. But in middle, I had 3 stops. One was a vipassana, and then right after the vipassana, I had a wedding in Goa. So not a good idea after coming out for silent retreat and go to an Indian wedding. So I don't recommend. And then before the wedding ended, I had to fly to Bali for 3 days and then to Austin, Texas. So I've met over there as an individual. She had this incredible healing ability where she could pass electric current just by touching, and there was nothing attached. We had a couple of scientists in our group as well. So I've seen some crazy things. And then, but if you look into Eastern tradition, especially Qigong and Neigong is all about cultivating your internal power. So you could think of it as, the siddhis. When you transcend, go deep into yoga. Obviously, the goal of yoga is reaching oneness, but as you progress, you might come across some abilities here and there. They say that's not the point of it, but people come across, and some people want studying yoga to get those. But in this Chinese tradition, you have an entire school of abilities, especially people who are able to generate heat and electric power through their hands, and you have to master it. It takes 10 to 12 years. I've seen people do it. I was in Thailand a few weeks ago, almost last year, for a retreat. So all these traditions, they hold this very deeper secrets of practice. Sometimes it becomes mainstream through books, through teachers, and I find it very curious to know. I don't know what's at the end of the tunnel. Is it going to lead me somewhere? But I think it's a I really admire that you're going to all these different places. um
Did you
and I'm
meet the
like,
person
okay,
that could shock you, that could
yeah,
touch
yeah,
you?
yeah, 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 yeah.
And what did it feel like?
It's crazy. It's like you have like electric power, just the whole body shaking. And then when she put my hand here, she asked me, do you see the white light? I'm like, yeah. And it's not only me, it's like we had 12 other people in the group. Everyone is reporting the same thing. um and the guy David, he could have it's a normal thing, in this circle. This kind of stories just flows by, and this is a very ancient tradition in in China. It's all over in that area, but I think it's generated in China. And I think how you had like communism, and how they tried to sort of ban qigong. There's a whole political side to it,
Yeah.
but you have all these ancient masters that goes back to Lao Tzu. um, it's different. Their perception of realities in those days, in those mountains, in nature itself,
Yeah.
along with being oneness, you cultivate something else. That And I think all these great yogis can do is manipulate space and time, not as a result of showing off or trying to harm someone, but it's just the way of being, even in
Yeah.
Indian tantric traditions. So it's something interesting I like to read about and explore.
Yeah. I am editing a video right now. I went to Japan. It's hopefully I can finish it today. But have you ever heard of Soku Shinbutsu? It's a
Is it like
Japanese. Let's see.
it's in the forest? It's a spiritual tradition in the forest. They have the drumming and the fire. Is that the one?
These
Or
guys, Soku Shinbutsu is in the northern part of Japan and Yamagata, where these monks would mummify themselves 6 years before they die. So they take on a very intense practice to where they begin to kill themselves slowly. They begin to mummify while they are in the body. And Soku Shinbutsu, I'm probably saying it wrong in Japanese, Soku Shinbutsu, something like that. But it means to be a living Buddha in the body. So they believed that if they could die while inside the body, that they would. It's like having Mahasamadhi in the body, and they would drink lacquer. You know, lacquer. They use it for furniture, and I don't fully. Let me Google it. Lacquer. Let me see what lacquer looks like. Lacquer is a fast-drying, durable, and high-gloss protective finish commonly used on wood and metal. And some of the best lacquer in the world comes from this area in Japan. And I don't know, 1,500 years ago, these monks were using this lacquer substance from a urushi tree to drink it, so it mummifies them from the inside. They basically turn into wood. And at the end of their practice, after they eat, they take this diet for like 3 years where they only eat pine needles and nuts and tree bark. And the idea is to slowly remove all of the calories and fat from your body, because fat is what decays when you die. So they don't want no fat or no bacteria inside of them either. So like the urushi sap, the lacquer, kills all the bacteria inside of them. The whole idea is to purify your body so that when you die, there's no decomposition. You just turn into like this wooden thing. And yeah, there's these living Buddhas all throughout the northern part of Japan that you get buried alive. So at the end of it, you get buried alive. You're just like in a little box in your lotus position, and they have a bamboo tube that goes up into the ground from into the air so you can breathe, and there's a bell that rings. They ring this bell. And then maybe after only 3 days or something, the bell stops ringing because the guy dies after being buried. And then they wait 3 years. After 3 years, they undig the body. If the body is unsuccessful, if it didn't mummify, if it's rotted, they do an exorcism and they rebury you. You know, good luck next life. But if you were successful in your mummification, they build a whole shrine around you and treat you as like an immortalized being, like a like an eternally meditating Buddha. And I went and visited a bunch of them. It's pretty crazy to see. We're just talking about crazy spiritual practices. This is probably the most insane I've ever seen, actually. And some of them still have their malas in their skeleton hands, like still clutching their malas. And they're just all like, they don't really look like mummies. Most of them look like skeletons, but some of them got like glossy fingers, like as if you put the lacquer on their bones or something.
Wow, I think I'm gonna stick to praying 5 times a day, bro. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's a little
much more.
easier, right?
Wow. Yeah, humans. It's
Humans.
interesting, right? It's a mystery.
We are insane animals. Like, what other animal is doing such crazy things? You'll never hear of another ape or something mummifying themselves for a belief. It's so interesting, man. What crazy? What do you think it is that separates us from the animal world? Intellectually, obviously, we're animals, but there's something. What do you think it
um,
is?
I think consciousness, intelligence, free will, ability to decipher
But
all
why does no
this.
other animals have that? Why are we
Hmm?
the only animal on the planet? Why are we the only animal on the planet that has that?
I think there are some theories. One of them was far intelligent beings who had this thing, this thing called super consciousness came by and sort of bred us with animals, etc. But that's a very, very interesting question. I don't have answers, just only theories.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's so weird. We're the only animals that can say, "Holy shit, we're animals. What the hell is going on?"
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's crazy, and it's interesting. Like I'm working on a book. You know, it's just human potential, understanding human potential, and every time I go into deep writing, I even ask that question myself: what is going on? Who am I? What am I doing here? What is the purpose? What am I going to convey in this book? Okay, you are a human being, all right. A scientist has a definition. Okay, we carry the same reptilian brain, right? Food, sex, survival, procreation. Those are the something. But we have this chitta vritti, and the intellect, the ability to think, feel samadhi. All this, the evolution. Is it something must have happened? Some phenomena that I don't know if I'm ever going to have words for it to understand. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it was in our human timeline that woke us up in the middle somehow. Like, I don't know. I know Terrence McKenna say maybe it was when the apes came out and the African, at the end of the ice age, the terrain started changing, and searching for new food sources, the apes went out and started just eating whatever they could and found the cow patties with the mushrooms. And then they learned, in small doses, it would make you a better hunter, make you have more neuro connections to make better strategies, or a better connection for your more love for something. Take a little bit of mushrooms, you love whoever is around you, or make you horny, so you have sex. So like maybe there's an evolutionary benefit to apes that would use this food substance. And I don't know, maybe slowly it just opened little parts of our self-awareness that, I don't know. That's Terence McKenna's idea. He calls it the stoned ape theory. I don't know. I think God might just be real, and he gave us a job.
Yeah, he has a script. Sometimes I think that too. Like, why does he have just minimal senses, sight, smell? Like, what is smell? What is sight? Right? We just, it's here. And then you take these mushrooms and like, okay, what's that thing in the sky? I remember during the pandemic, um, I had some money saved. I didn't have a job, so I decided, okay, a friend of mine sent some chocolates, chocolates from California. Before that, I slightly experimented, and I had some weed as well. Um, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just try a little bit. And one day I tried just less than a quarter, 0.5 grams. Um, Near my apartment that I stayed in, there's a beautiful park. Okay, I'm just gonna smoke some weed unintentionally, meaning like I did not know one is gonna affect another one. I realized that Santa Maria amplifies the experience, and then I just go sit down under a tree and just constantly in awe, looking at the sky, amazed and aware, like what is this going on? Who's this alien? Is this an alien transmission?
Yeah.
Am I? Did I just steal a bit of their consciousness?
Yeah.
And but yeah, I hope to engage and see and experience and pray that we get the answer.
Well, what I'm realizing is that if we are praying a lot, and if we are like in our normal moments from day to day trying to release the chains of our emotional reactions, because I've been really paying attention to my mind. I will have 50 thoughts in 10 seconds, and I will feel them all intensely as they're happening. Oh fuck, I forgot to do that thing. God, oh shit, I gotta go pee. Oh, I gotta let that dog out. Like, and it happens all so quick. And as it's happening, I'm like feeling it completely. This is the reality. But I'm realizing if I begin praying, all of that kind of goes away, and my focus starts to go towards whatever that mystery is, God, divinity, whatever the chit is, the mystery. And if we can do that a lot, we can go sit under the tree and still see that beauty, instead of seeing, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And that's like what Bavani taught me. He told me, he said, if you want to, the mushroom and all this stuff is not like the actual reality. It's just layers of mind. It's just like layers of dreams. And it's beautiful. All the dreams are beautiful, but look at the thing behind it, the changes. And when you build a relationship behind the thing that is producing all the changes, when you build a relationship with the God, that beauty in the sky is available to you always, not on the mushrooms only. And that's what I'm learning. Slowly, I'm not seeing the beauty all the time, but sometimes it's hitting me and I'm saying, holy shit, Bavani was right, you know?
Yeah, I had this similar kind of experience. Like, I consider myself a Muslim, but I don't treat myself as a good Muslim. I should be praying more and being practicing. It's a very simple faith. Um, so I was there's one of our prayers is at right before sunrise. And I I woke up in the middle of the night just to go to the bathroom. And it's slowly getting morning. You have this like light from outside. And the call for prayer comes in, and the first word is Allahu Akbar, meaning God is great. And on the background, you have the sound of birds, like in the morning birds. I'm like, just those are the only two things I could think about. God is great, and nature was so beautiful. And I'm just sitting in the toilet. I didn't want to leave. It was just like it just calmed my heart down. No worries. Like, I have things to do in the morning. I have to get these things done. Like you said, all these thoughts. It's a I think wonderful prayer.
It's the secret, man. Like we all want the Kundalini awakening. We all want the secret. Like, give me the mantra. Tell me the. Okay, yeah. Pray, whatever. But give me the secret. We don't want it to be easy, but it's so simple. Spiritual. You don't have to mummify yourself. All you have to do is just. God is here right now. God is here. It's actually impossible not to be immersed in it. So all we have to do is retune our attention to swim in it.
Another thing with human, like you said, is the distraction, right? It's the desire of those 50 thoughts of trying to achieve, do XYZ, and get things done, right? So how do you overcome those urges or challenges?
It's hard. I've tried everything, most of it doesn't work. Nothing really works to fight the mind. It's very, very challenging, but I'm still in the discovery process of seeing what the best weapon is. But lately I'm just realizing like all the simple practices that were always there. Watch your mind. Become mindful of it. Watch the patterns. Watch it unfold. See it for what it is. And watch how you give your authority to it as it pops up. And then once you can start seeing those patterns, you can begin to break them. You first have to become aware of the patterns. It's like a drug addict, First, you have to admit you have a problem. So you admit you have a problem. Okay, I'm attaching to these thoughts. I'm confusing my thoughts with the reality. Now we can begin to not do that. And when you don't engage with the thoughts, they begin to lose their power. And now you can fill your time with other things. And if you choose to fill your time with things like chanting or things like thinking about God or thinking about things you love or playing music or something that is just like beneficial for the soul, then slowly you're going to just begin. It's like there's a palace covered, like there's a 10,000-year-old temple. It's the most beautiful temple, but it's covered over the ground. It's covered over 10,000 years of being forgotten about. So we have this temple inside of us, but we just have to dig and dig and dig until we get there. And I feel like I'm just only seeing like the little point of the roof sticking out. So I know there's something there. I just have to keep digging, and you got to fight the mind to do that. And that's why there's a billion yogas, and each of us have to figure out which one it is for us.
Yeah, there's this book, 100 and, if I'm not mistaken, 112 meditation techniques, and each one, not all of us would be attuned to one specific technique. We have to go on a journey of self-discovery and find what works for us.
Well, the Buddha gave 1 million different prescriptions to people. You come to him and he would tell you one thing, and he tells the different guy a completely different thing. And if you're just reading the book, you're like, wow, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's giving people all kinds of contradictory answers. But that's because the people are coming to him. And like if you look at it as a patient doctor, this guy's got a headache. I'm not going to give him the same prescription I'm going to give this guy. So it looks contradictory on the surface, but that's only because the teacher has to give you the homework based on where you're at. And we're all in different places. So, there was one story of the Buddha where he was with a bunch of sages, and they're all sitting around. Okay, give us the answer. Because, okay, I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Because, I told this guy just to go chant, and I told this guy, just go love your wife and be a good guy. But I'm going to tell you guys the secret. And the secret of the universe is And all the sages around him immediately woke up. So not all of us are ready to hear the and awaken. Some of us just need to go clean our rooms.
Yeah. and then you have like it comes back with, since you mentioned cleaning rooms, right? It comes back to how do you bring that meditative practice into your day-to-day life, right? And you have practices like Tai Chi and Qigong, which is more of a moving meditation. So you are switching from just sitting down and closing your eyes versus you're open out there. That's the real practice. And it also brings me back to some of the teachings in ceremony that I got. The roadman, specifically in peyote ceremonies, one of them mentioned of the ceremony, okay, you sat all night through the fire, but the real ceremony is life right now. When you walk up of that, I walk out of the teepee. How do you handle
Yeah,
life?
that's it. Real life is a ceremony. The ceremony is not in the maloka. That's what we're all confused about. We think the ceremony is in the maloka. We're totally, our tension's wrong.
Well,
It's the maloka is just the dojo. It's just the place you go to train. It's not the ceremony. It's just the training place for the ceremony. And we're all confused. We think the dojo is the ceremony, but the dojo is just the gym.
do you have any spiritual practices, or what's your day-to-day life like these days between
I
your
just sit
creative work
on my
and
computer and I just edit. And sometimes in the background, I'll have some bhajans playing of like Har Har Mahadev or some Krishna songs, and I just sit there and I edit and I sing, and that's it. I've got no deep spiritual practices. I've done the ash and the dead body stuff, and none of it worked. The only thing that works is just like God is here and I'm in it. If you can
Hmm,
accept that, you don't need anything else. You can be
thank you for
editing, you can be doing anything. And if you have that, uh, that is the spiritual practice. Hey, God.
well, Dakota, I think it's been an honor, to have you here. Thank you for sharing your beautiful wisdoms. I know we can continue take this conversation into like many different topics because
Forever.
it's an
Yeah.
infinite
Yeah. Yeah.
knowledge. Curiosity is infinite. Before we, I know you just started off your day. You have plans ahead, and it's not here. Before we take off, would you like to share a bit of wisdom or thought or anything we missed out?
No, I don't really have anything to teach anybody, but if we're all students and we're all copying each other's work and stuff, the only thing I really have to say is just pay attention to where your focus is at in the moment to moment. When you're just moving unconsciously, when you're walking up the stairs or you're going outside to your car, be conscious in those in between moments and watch what your mind is doing. And if you can begin to gain consciousness in those moments, in the unaware moments, when you're conscious, everything heightens when you begin to train your mind. And this is magical. This is magical knowledge. You have to be always aware of the mind, and then when you're aware of the mind, you can make things happen because you're not controlled by the mind. And when you're not controlled by the mind, this world does not become something you react to. It becomes something that you are. And when you are something, it's yours. So, Bavani told me one time, and this is what I will leave people with, is the wisdom that Bavani gave me. Power is not something that you get. Power is something that you learn to control. So you can, viewers, reflect on that as you will.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, bro.
Dakota.
It was fun. Thank you for letting me get my motor going.
Of
I
course,
got to go do
until
some more filming now, so now I'm warmed up. I'm ready.
good luck in your day and your projects, and I
Hold
hope
on,
to see
before we
you.
leave though, what about your wisdom? You give us something too.
Uh, it's not much of a wisdom. It's in your daily day-to-day life, try to come across whoever you come across, either it be family, foe, because I feel like like your mind has this power to rewind back, right? It knows everything, every being, every action that you have played throughout the day. So find some time in your day to send some love and gratitudeness to everyone you've seen. Because we see people, we tend to have a judgment whether we know them or not based on their looks, the way they eat, the way they dress, the way they're done. So just clear your space in your mind, just send some love, and then that's it.
That's it, dude. You just expanded on what Bavani said, because it's not something you get; it's something that you give.
Oof. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thank
brother.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you
Okay,
too.
you have a great one. Take care.
You too. Om.
Oh.